Okay, well, what I was going to do is I want to do a little bit of the session. So, if you think of, we're sitting in Waterdeep, and again, just to bring everybody up to speed, we talked about this in some time, but the idea is that your group has come together at some point before our little session starts, and maybe even you guys had been on a mission before. You've done at least one other job as a group, so that's how you know each other. You already know each other, and after that job, things went okay. Maybe it was just an okay job, nothing too big, nothing too spectacular, but you were looking for another job. Lady Valrossa came and approached your group, and she's been talking to several groups in Waterdeep as she's looking for a group that has unique skills to kind of mediate between a little issue that's been happening with some wood elves of Ardeep Forest and her town where she lives, called Nightstone. She's talked to a couple groups, but then your group is the one she decides to hire, and it appeals to her the most because your group has several elves in it already, and she thinks that a group that already has elves in it smooth the way and might be able to be a great mediator for the problems that these two groups are having. And mostly the problems they're having is over the wood elves would like the human people, the citizens of Nightstone, not to be hunting in Ardeep Forest. And Nightstone was really built along hunting lodges. Like the rich nobles would come out, they would go on a hunting trip into the woods, and then the little town there kind of services that. But they've been having some skirmishes and some problems, and there's it's starting to heat up. So they really want to she wants to get ahead of this, try to find a way that everybody can live together in harmony. So at that meeting, and let's talk about your group a little bit. So is your group the type of group where everybody shows up to a potential client, like a customer that's going to hire you, or somebody that's going to offer you a job, or do you guys have one or two people that go and negotiate jobs for you?
I take jobs, no question asked.
Raises her hand.
I think I'm kind of like, for my character, I don't think he's kind of looking to do something on his own. So at the moment he's kind of attached to the group, but doesn't like whatever the group says.
Okay. So would you have been at the meeting with Lady Valrossa, or would you have waited for them to come back and say, hey, we're going to...
I think I probably would be there.
Okay. And anybody else would have been there?
I'd definitely be there. I think we would definitely want the wood elf to be there too.
Yeah, I was about to say I probably would have gone also.
Okay. Greybeard, are you out drinking, or did you go to the meeting too?
Of course I went with them.
All right. So we'll assume that this sounds like a group that when a job comes up, it sounds like you all kind of go and hear out the person and take the job. So you were all sitting around a table, tavern, and drinks were being, brought in, and you guys listened to Lady Valrossa. She gave you her the job, and she's hoping that if things are successful, she's looking to go ahead and pay you 20 gold per person. Basically, you're just there to mediate and try to help with a resolution between the two. Pretty simple job. And she kind of looks at it that way because you guys are elves, and she's really thinking that, this shouldn't be too tough. You also find out during that Nightstone is about 50 miles south of Waterdeep. So on a normal, you guys are walking down there, you cover typically about 24 miles, 25 miles in a day. So it should be about a 2-day jaunt down south for you. The town, again, was called Nightstone. Is there any other information you guys would have wanted to ask her for that meeting? Or during that meeting? Not before it, but during that meeting.
Could you? Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, could you explain the conflict again? What's something about game issues?
Yeah, the Nightstone was a town that was built right down near Ardeep Forest, and what was happening is like nobles would come from Waterdeep. They would need a place to stay because they would go and do hunts and things inside Ardeep Forest, and that's been there for a long, long time. And 20-ish years, a group of elves have moved into that woods, moved into that forest, and they've been getting into some scuffs with the hunting group. And there's been, some bloodshed here and there. And she wants to get ahead of it before it ramps up into something too. Several years ago, before this, the elves had actually attacked Nightstone settlement. But then everything went quiet again and everything's fine, but they want to continue, offering hunting groups. And if it just means that, they're not out there slaughtering every sea, they're out there, they're nobles who want to go on, big hunts. That's something they want to do. And that's why Nightstone was even created as a town, kind of service that. So she's hoping to find a way that hunts can still happen, that the elves are not angered at them and they're not angered at the elves for attacking, the scouts and stuff that go out from the town with the different noble groups that go out and do the hunting. And, just kind of stop the hostility between the two groups.
Then I would have probably asked how often do groups come to Nightstone and hunt? Like, how often does that happen?
She says it's kind of hard to say. It's whenever the nobles show up, but she's put on the table, if there needs to be some limits, she's willing to listen to reasonable limits to say it can only happen so often, or they can only these certain times, or, there can be some structure to what's going on so that they're not wrecking the woods. But they, those woods aren't the elves' woods. The elves moved there. Nightstone had been there, so they feel like they should be able to go and hunt if they.
Has she had any contact with specific elves in the forest, like names we know of who to talk to?
They have not had a discussion yet. The idea is she's going to try to set up a meeting once she procured a mediator, or a neutral group to come in and talk. And she does know that the leader of those wood elves is Orana Swiftrunner. And she's going to set up a meeting with Orana and her and a couple of the other townsfolks there that are the main town people. And then the mediation group, which is your group.
Was there mention of pay?
Yes, there would be 20 gold per person. And she's hoping for a positive resolution to the situation. 20 gold per your group.
If some of us don't come back, do the rest of us get their 20 gold?
He looks at you and says, I would assume that's up to your group, how that works.
Good.
Dwarf tax.
All right. Any other questions? You guys should be able to see it on the map too. I don't know if do I have to zoom in for you, or are you guys able to zoom?
We can zoom in.
Okay. Yeah, you should see it. I marked it on there. Night. It's on the right near the river, southern side of Ardeep Forest. To give you some scale, from Waterdeep to Daggerford is 100 miles, about. So from Waterdeep to Nightstone, it's about 50. That's about the halfway mark between Waterdeep and Daggerford, give or take. All right, so she stands up and she, buys everybody at the table there one more round of drinks. She says, I will see you there. I'm going to go ahead and leave tonight, taking a carriage back, and then I will set up the meeting. So hopefully we will see you in the next day or two. She she kind of leaves that in a question. So that's when she should make the meeting. Will we see you in the next day or two?
I think so. I think we can be prepared by then.
Okay, she will make the meeting, and she bids you adieu, and she leaves the tavern and allows you to finish your drinks. All right, so that's just a quick setup of that piece.
What was your name again?
Her name was Lady Valrossa, and we will cut away. We do a nice little fade out and fade back in, and I assume you guys are leaving in the morning, so down at the southern gate of Waterdeep, we kind of zoom back into that lower where everybody's going to meet, start their travel south to Nightstone. Who would be the first one that would show up? Who's the early riser?
Me.
Probably me. Oh, and you, yeah.
Okay.
Not I.
So we got and our characters. Let's go through our character names again. We might want to put them on our name to make it easier. So when you go to enroll 20, up the top right, you have a menu, and on that menu you should have a gear. And when you click on that gear, there'll be a place to say display name. And if you guys would go ahead and maybe put obviously your character name, and then maybe a dash, and then maybe your real name, so it's easy for me to remember who's who, who's doing what, those things. So as pronounce your guys' names. Oh, and let me move so we can see.
Can I ask a housekeeping question?
Sure.
Just more for the group. Do we have a sense, or does anybody have a sense that their character would kind of assert themselves as the leader of the group? Or would there be multiple
would
people?
Try, but I don't know how well she would succeed. It all depends on the rest of the group.
Okay, I guess I'm looking more for who would be more assertive, or who would be assertive, not more assertive, just assertive in general. To try
Definitely me.
Okay. Anybody else?
I'm along for the cash.
All right.
So as I guess one of the newer people in the group, I'm going to kind of assume that Aila, is it Aila? Aila? Aila.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to assume that Aila is the group's leader.
Yeah, that's up to you guys. I have no opinion.
I think it's fair to say it depends on the situation, but I think that's fine.
And I'm not saying that she is a leader. I'm just saying that that's my.
You're hired to. You're fired.
That's my observation. Is she seems to be asserting herself more, so that's who I'm gonna assume is kind of calling the shots.
All right, so let's open our scene up that early morning. The sun is just maybe not even risen, but getting close. You know, the sky kind of turns that blue just before it's going to open up, and Aila is at the southern gate waiting, and up walks other elven character. Say your name again, PB.
It is Ian. Yeah.
So
It's like Ian Agris, basically, but with a little like accent flair. Ian Agris.
Aila, and I'm just going to call you Ian for short.
All right.
So Aila see Ian,
Ian, yeah.
Ian
Yeah,
walking up,
yeah.
and I'm sure you guys have read the stuff, but go ahead and describe what you look like as you're walking up. What are you
Me?
wearing? Yeah, yep. Give us a physical description.
I am wearing a lot of browns and greens. I'm wearing leather armor, and my armor is all like a very deep, dark leather color. Very dark brown, sort of to like match with the trees. The shirt I have under it is green. I'm a typical elf. I look very elvish. There's no doubting what I am. I'm fairly, I guess, average size. I'm about 5'5". I have long, brown, straight hair. It's in a ponytail, just for convenience sake. My skin tone is like a tan, coppery color. And I have very, very blue eyes with a longbow on my back, a dagger on one side, a hand axe on the other, and my favorite thing about this character is that I have a phenomenal resting bitch face. So
Nice.
yeah. So it looks
Alright.
like I'm scowling when I'm not scowling.
All right, so you're walking up and you see Aila there, and Aila, what does she see as you're standing there? Are you leaning against the wall? Are you hanging out? Are you sitting down? Are you meditating? What does she see when you walk up, and then give us your physical description?
Me?
Yep.
Sorry, the thing cut out for a moment there.
Oh, no problem. That might be my phone I'm on.
Okay, well, first thing you notice is, wings, probably? That's probably something that stands out, right? That seems like what would stand out. She's a, oh crap, I have this written down somewhere.
I always call it the Aarakocra.
Yeah, where is it? She's an ornate hawk eagle, which,
That's right.
if you don't know what they look like, they kind of have like feathers that stick up at the top of their head to what they do to show interest or intimidation and such. She's got short hair, probably just below the chin. That's like a reddish kind of brown color with black tips, and her she's got the feathers at the top and feathers that kind of look like they would be stand-outish ears at the side that are also reddish brown with black tips. She's got markings from her eye. Her eyes are all black because she's a bird. Guys, get it? Haha. She's got markings going down from her eyes down to her chin that are also black. They're just thin stripes. She has her face looks human. If it weren't for the feathers and the wings and the bird legs, people might mistake her. They probably wouldn't, but she likes to pretend.
But no beak, no bird face.
No, not exactly. Her nose is more bird-like, but not completely.
All right.
She has large wings that have black kind of like stripes on them, and their wingspan is probably something around twice her height, and she's about 5'1". She's very short, so probably close to 10 feet maybe. And on the underside they're white, and on the upper side they're black-ish, black-brown. She's got leather armor it matches her skin a bit, but also kind of looks brown and woodish, as if to make her hide in the forest. You probably notice she's most likely standing in a tree looking over the gate, trying to see as far as she can. And she's got, just think of a bird person.
Okay. What kind of weapons is she? She's a fighter.
Oh, right,
What is she wielding?
Okay, she's got hooked to her side. She has 2 hand axes, like crossing over her back where her feathers would be. She's got 1 hand crossbow that's on the side of her leg, and 1 longbow that she carries in her arm.
Okay. Right,
And I would, if there is a tree nearby, I would probably also scurry up the tree
Okay.
and get a
She's
bird's eye
probably
view.
just making bird noises at you.
Our two elves are sitting in the tree waiting for the rest of the group. And just before we get to the rest of the people coming up, another quick rule note. Forgot to write down, but I just remembered. We did figure out that your inventory, the sheets that are holding your inventory are using a variant rule that makes it seem like you get encumbered very quickly. But the actual rule in the player's handbook is 15 times your strength score. So you can carry without being encumbered or without being hindered 15 times whatever your strength score is, and you can ignore the character sheet as far as if it tells you you're encumbered if you happen to go over that. So I'll just trust you guys to keep track of that. I don't want to, have to minutely track encumbrance. And the other thing I wasn't going to track very much was rations. We'll just assume that you guys are getting rations unless we happen to go on an adventure where you're in the desert and there's no food or something we're dealing with really low resources. Then we might minutely track it. But in regular areas, we're not going to try to track how many rations you've got and how much left and that kind of stuff.
Oh, the gluttony.
Yeah, but feel free to buy them and track them as you. All right, so our two elves are sitting out the south gate. Trees are a little bit off of the south gate, but you can still see the south gate. You can see down the south road. Who would be the next person to show up? Find our two elves in the trees.
Being the responsible one, I'm going to make sure Greybeard wakes up and makes it on time.
Thank
Okay.
So I don't know what time that actually puts us arriving now.
We'll have you two arrive last. Who else? That leaves us Kerrnel or Logan marching up.
Is Logan here?
I think Logan's in.
Yeah, I'm here.
I think so.
Oh,
Yep.
hey, cool.
So either want to march up, and who's third to arrive?
I would say I'm just a normal-looking human. I am wearing woodsman outfit, and while I am from the forest to the north, where I think that our other elf is from, I don't think we've ever met. I'm not actually armed with anything. I just have a staff.
Okay. Leather armor, you said?
Yeah. Hide armor. I wouldn't call it like leather, like somebody crafted it extremely well.
Okay.
Grew up in the woods.
Woodsy looking.
I made it myself.
Are you going to join the elves in the tree, or what do you do when you walk up and see?
Hey, I can walk over there, and if they're up in the tree, I'm just gonna go sit at the base of the tree, though.
Okay.
Not to say
Armel
this poor tree's gonna collapse.
arrives. All right. And if you guys do want to tie your backstory at some point, you can retcon that if you wish. As you guys talk together some more throughout, if that makes any sense. It won't matter for tonight's session, but if you want to go through and do that. All right. Who's our fourth to arrive is then going to be our Drow.
It will be.
So, all right, coming out of the gate. See. Yeah, go ahead. Jarral show up.
So, Jarral is, he has dark charcoal skin and a striking white silvery goatee. His hair, seemingly styled in kind of a spiky mess, windswept if you will, is cut just short of shoulder length. As is usually the case, the group usually finds him wearing this. His hair is mostly covered by a leather hooded cape fastened across his upper chest to keep his crimson red eyes shaded from the sunlight. He's wearing just normal cloth, loose, comfortable fitting clothing. It's not tight, it's not loose, but it does give him some degree of flexibility. He seems very fit. He is roughly 5. How high did I say he was? He's about 5'11 ish. Just shy of 200 pounds or so. He's not strong, but he's fit. And, he just seems relaxed.
All right. And what kind of weapons does Jarral carry?
Jarral carries a short sword. And, I don't know if you can see them, but he has some darts.
Okay. And did you say no armor?
No armor.
Okay. I created your note for you, so you should be able to see that in your...
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So that is... And everybody knows classes, so you guys have worked together before. You have an idea of what classes you already are. So our fighter, our ranger, our druid, our last two, Teagraiel and Greybeard, come wandering up together, I assume?
Yep. And
All right.
on the path getting out of the tavern, just to give background on Teagrail's attitudes and stuff, he's kind of a trickster and he likes to play a lot around as long as the people doesn't piss them off. But for Greybeard, he loves to do minor illusions of coins on the ground that Greybeard can find, but when he goes to pick them up, they're not really there. Just messes with people that way.
Yar, I hate that.
But looks-wise, he
All
looks
right.
a lot like the picture. Just kind of fairly thin, 5'6" about elf with white hair, very pale, and not a very... Being a wizard and having a strength of 8, he's got a very weak build and carries a staff.
Awesome. And that leaves our stunty.
Old Greybeard. I have a do-rag that's red, and then a tunic that's black, and a vest that's red, and then red and black striped pants. No armor, dark beard with one gray streak, and he said, at sea, a sea hag tried to grab me, that kind of thing. He's always telling tall tales. He's got a great axe, 2 hand axes, a club, and a quiver with 4 javelins.
All right, and that rounds out our motley crew. And that ends up being... What was the class you picked on that? See that?
Barbarian.
Oh, Barbarian. Gotcha. Perfect. Okay, so you are all showing up. And start traveling south. Now, how do you guys travel? Travel 2 by 2, 1 by 1?